How are you folks doing? American Werewolf here, back again with another review after my, 3 or 4 month hiatus, something like that. I got distracted by a lot of other things. I started working full time again, just getting ready for school in the fall, doing paperwork, all that. So I just kind of abandoned this. It's not really like at the point, I don't know if it ever will be, where I can do it as a job, or I do it to make money, or I do it because I have a big audience. Definitely not there yet, but I did have someone ask me recently why I stopped doing my reviews. Said they really enjoyed them. Had a couple other people said they enjoy hearing me talk about music. So I figured, yeah, okay, let's review some more stuff. So right before I think it was like the week after my last review, a new Amon Amarth album came out, and those of you that know me know I love metal. Metal is my favorite genre. I listen to everything, love everything, but metal is where my heart is. Metal's where my heart is. So Amon Amarth's new album came out. If you don't know Amon Amarth, they are a Viking themed, yes, Viking, Odin, longboats, axes, Fenrir, all that. Viking themed melodic death metal band. And they're actually very, very popular. Probably one of the most popular metal bands in the world at the moment. And normally the really, really popular metal bands, I'm not a huge fan of, because it tends to be stuff like more down the core line of metal versus like the death metal, heavy metal line of metal. But Amon Amarth is a band I really do enjoy. So I was really excited to do this, and then I got caught up in work and all that. So here I'm sitting down doing it 3 months late. So the new album came out, Jomsviking. It is a, spoiler, pretty good album. Pretty good. So getting right into it. First song on the album is First Kill, and it's a very strong start to the album. Like, I could just listen to this over and over. It's just a really strong metal song in general. I think it's really encapsulates what Amon Amarth does best with their melodic death metal Viking fueled sound. This is like a really fantastic song. So if you don't listen to anything else, I'd just say listen to First Kill, because that is a great introduction to Amon Amarth in general. After that was Wanderer. Wanderer is not a great song, but it's not bad. Feels very much like an Amon Amarth song, but not in the way I enjoy, or in the unique Amon Amarth way. Those of you that are fans, I prefer the more Twilight of the Thunder God versus like Bloody Banner, or what is it? Bloody Banners, Battered Flags, something like that. It's been forever since I've actually went back and listened to them. But yeah, the more like high speed death metal versus the more chugging, slow and heavy death metal. I prefer the more fast. Wanderer is the more slow chugging. The end to Wanderer is really the only part I enjoyed. I don't know, check out the song if you want. After that was On a Sea of Blood, and this sounded like a more classic melodic death metal sound versus the Amon Amarth one, but it's also probably my favorite song on the album. It's just like, oh man, it's such a good just melodic death metal song. Like, again, if someone's like, oh, what's melodic death metal? I'd probably show them this among like maybe At the Gates, or stuff like that, because it's more classical melodic death metal sounding. If you have no idea what these are, then you're not gonna know what I'm talking about, but just know it's a good song. The melodic like riffing in the main chorus with the really, really like, I don't know, like the vocals in this were a bit different than what I feel Amon Amarth does, and you're gonna go, oh, they always growl, but this was like just really, really like guttural, like classic death metal sounding like growls, and I love it. Matched with the the melodic riffing, and this is like exactly what I'm looking for when I listen to melodic death metal. So great song, On a Sea of Blood, definitely check it out. After this was One Against All. It's kind of like Wanderer. It certainly sounds like an Amon Amarth song, but it's not the type of Amon Amarth song I'm into. So I wasn't a big fan. I don't know, check it out maybe. I don't know. Next was Raise Your Horns, which just by that name you can tell is a very what's like a crowd pleaser song. And I mean they say that several times in the song. Raise your horns to the sky. Yeah. And it's like, it's definitely the song I can see him like opening a concert to and being like, alright guys, raise your horns. It's just I'm not a fan of like, I don't know. I really like the chorus when it is like all the pumped up and it's just a fun song, but I'm not into like the rest of the song with everything else. The chorus is definitely a lot of fun. Like, raise your horns to the sky. Like, I can see a bunch of people throwing their fists up at a concert. It's kind of a cool feeling, but as a song itself, it's not that well written. After that was The Way of Vikings. And this was like a very hard and steady beating track. Like, it's a definite headbanger song. See someone with a bunch of hair just like throwing their mop around as they're listening to it. It's, again, definitely very Amon Amarth. They're singing about Vikings fighting and training. And if not for some of the more like, some of it felt like lyric wise, it feel very creative and almost like hammed in a lot of lines. Like, it's almost like, okay, we want to say this line in the song, but we need a line to help us get there. And then like the line to help them get there is just awkward and weird. That's at least what I felt. I feel it's a welcome addition to the album, but it's not amazing. It's just not bad. Next was At Dawn's First Light, which, oh my gosh, like, so the verses of the song are a little iffy. I'm not a fan of like the pacing of the singing in the verses, but man, the chorus makes up for it. It's just like a soaring guitar, like just loud and proud, and like the loud growling, like what do they call it, like false screaming, I think, when you're growling just really loud, so it almost sounds like a scream. Like I can see it being a soundtrack to just like the chorus at least, just Vikings like raiding and decimating everything. It's weird because I really do love the chorus itself is so good, but then the verses just kill it for me. Check it out. 1000 Burning Arrows was next. And this was almost a more like haunting sounding song about, a Viking funeral. And it's one of the better songs on the album. It makes use of like the crunchy sounding metal guitars. And it actually has a brass instrumentals in it. And it's like the what am I trying to say? The way how the guitars and the brass complement each other is really cool. Really like it. And the song just continues growing in intensity as like Vikings light the, what do they call them, like the funeral pyre boats. I don't know if you know what a Viking funeral is, but basically you put the deceased person on a boat, push them out to sea, and then everyone like, I guess, shoots a flaming arrow at it and lights it on fire, and they cremate them that way. And it's like this guy saying like farewell to his old leader, Viking leader, and how like good of a leader he was to like everyone. It's definitely one of the better written songs in my opinion, with a good use of Amon Amarth's two guitars. They're each playing different parts, whereas normally they're usually just playing the same part at different like scales and octaves. This one they actually did do like two very different parts, and along with the brass and the singing, it just sounds like a very complete song. After that was Vengeance Is My Name, and I didn't like this one. It almost sounded like arena rock, or like just something you hear in stock YouTube music. At least as far as instrumentals, vocals wasn't that amazing either. I don't really like it personally, as it's not really doing anything I haven't heard before, and it's not doing anything too well. I'd say it's one of the, definitely, I don't want to say the weakest, because I don't know which one of these is the weakest, but it's a pretty weak song. So next was A Dream That Cannot Be. And this song has a guest singer of Doro, I'm going to say it wrong, I think it's Doro Pesh, of Warlock. I used to be, I don't want to say I was pretty into Warlock, like I had heard him here and there on my iPod, but I wasn't like super into him, but I love her vocals, and so they make use of her as a guest singer on this, and it's like a cool sort of like metal duet telling the story between This album's main character returning to where he fled, returning home to like try to get his childhood love to come with him, and she like refuses of like, like, I'm fine where I am. I'm happy where I am. I don't need to go with you. He gets a bit forceful. It gets violent. And like, that's more the story than songwriting itself. Sorry. But it's the songwriting itself is sort of like power metal styled melodic death metal, where people could argue that melodic death metal is just death metal styled in power metal. But this was like it was showing power metal much more than it was showing death metal. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. Like the Way of Vikings, it's not like a favorite of mine. Like, I definitely really enjoyed it, but I wouldn't call it a favorite. It's very much a welcome addition, and I would say that Doro's vocals are worth a listen alone, because it's a really, really cool vocals. Last song on the album, Back on Northern Shores. This song kind of sums up the album and made me realize that this album is much more traditional death metal than usual Amon Amarth. It's not a bad thing in this song's case. This song is a very good example of what Amon Amarth is capable of. And I wish they put like this much effort into writing songs, as some of the songs I wasn't a fan of. I really do like every bit of Back on Northern Shores. It didn't like blow me away like First Kill. Like, it's not a metal like headbanger, like, yeah. But it's really good. I would check that one out too. So overall, I'm sure you're wondering, what do you think about this album, American Werewolf? And I would tell you that this album, overall, if you're a fan of Amon Amarth, it's definitely one of their better albums. If you're a fan of melodic death metal, definitely check it out. But I'm going to say there was only like, between First Kill and Back on Northern Shores, those were the only two songs that really wowed me in terms of songwriting. It's very par for the course melodic death metal, very par for the course modern metal. Which, it's not a bad thing. There've definitely been worse releases recently. I would check it out if you're into melodic death metal. That's the best recommendation I can give. If you're into death metal, if you're into metal, and you're okay with harsh vocals, definitely check it out. I thought it was worth a listen. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Because it was really good, definitely above average. And I feel like I need to remind you every time, because I look at other rating scales. Most people will put an average album at about a 7, below average about a 6. That's just like how they got skewed. When I say a 5, I mean that is a completely average. You could listen to everything else on the radio, it'd be about the same quality. When I say a 6, it's above average, which means it's better than most people. So putting it at a 6.5 is saying it's better than most melodic death metal out there at the time. Definitely not as good as some older stuff, but pretty freaking good. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10. American Werewolf. Let me know if there's anything you want to hear me review. Let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about even. I've been considering even just sitting down and talking about music in general, or something about music history, or something about opinions on where music is going, what someone did, what, just yada yada, Anything you want me to talk about music related, go ahead and put it in the comments. If I like the idea, I might make a video on it. Anyway, yeah. Love you all. Thank you for putting up with me and my long wait times. Take care.